Hello everyone, this is Debbie and welcome to my channel Ridiculous Goodness, and today we're doing a yearly guidance reading for 2017, and I'll just show you what I'm using today, the China Tarot cards by DerJen, and the Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Anne Taylor, and also using the Archangel Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. And I've already prayed over the cards, and the purpose of this reading is to make sure that we are able to feel confident in ourselves to make the right decisions for our lives, not just for this coming year, or at least when I'm making this video, it's still 2016, just overall, and understanding that we really do have the power to make things happen in our life, as long as we keep going and we do not give up. So we just have to be confident in ourselves and understand that there's no one that can make the decisions for us except us. So we have to keep going on and keep doing our best to learn as much as we can, and to not let anything get in our way, as far as just understanding that people in our lives, can help guide us, but it's really, once again, us who says, well, what is it that I truly want to do? What is possible for me to do if I just be creative and find different ways to make things happen in my life? So I'll just get 3 cards from here. And 3 cards from the Energy Oracle cards. It's actually going to be a little bit hard to get them all in here, but it'll be fine. I'm just getting one from the Archangel Oracle cards, so I'll have some room. Okay. Just put that one back in there. It popped out, but I'll wait until I feel it's right. Alright, so we'll just flip these over. Actually, our tarot cards, there's a lot of pip cards. So our first tarot card is the 9 of Cups, or in this deck is the 9 of Chalices. And then we have the 10 of Wands. And the 10 of Pentacles. Then we have number 53, Magician and the Mirror. And we have number 4, Happy Family. Well, I'm not able to get that one very well. Maybe in a little bit. It's just like, it's a very light card, so hopefully you can kind of see it now. And we have number 5, Attachment. And we also have Clairvoyance, Archangel Raziel. I'm helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. Okay, so I'm feeling like we need to start with this card, Clairvoyance. Once again, it's Archangel Raziel, and he has his spear here, or his wand, or just his scepter, I guess it would be the word, and it has, for the chakras, just all the spheres representing the chakras. And, you know, he has a lot of wisdom. Archangel Raziel, yeah, he has a lot of wisdom, and so our clairvoyance is just not only what we see in our mind's eye, but also what we see in our world around us. Like if we read something and it means something for us, pay attention to that. Don't just disregard it and say, oh no, you know, it can't mean that. Just write it down or just keep note of it somehow and know that there are messages out there for you. You just need to keep an eye out for it. You know, if you just look up into the stars and you just feel like there's something, you know, and the way they're formatted, the constellations in a certain way, or just the way you see the planets are aligned in a certain way, you know, pay attention to that, because there's messages everywhere and different ways of getting it. Whether if you're like seeing a black cat, and you know, that would for me mean good luck, or just even like looking at a window and seeing like a, you know, the sometimes there's people that have like no curtains, and you just looking quickly and you see a couch and you just like get to like, you think of it as a safe place. You know, you think of like, oh, like what you're doing right now, you're safe and you're able to be you just keep going with whatever you're doing. Or just like anything in your life, you're like, what you're doing, you're on your path. You know, there's different things you can see and you can find that has meaning for you. So just what you see with your eyes, what you're reading, anything like that, is important to pay attention to that. And to know that there's higher wisdom, things that, you know, that were, like I was saying earlier, like we're learning so much. And we need to keep on learning and not think that we know it all, and just ask for help, that we are constantly learning and we're not staying in one place, and we're not, you know, limiting ourselves by thinking, oh, no, you know, it's impossible to go and do this, or we need to do something that, you know, oh, it has to be this way because everyone else does it this way, or everyone says it needs to be done this way, and we need to not continue that. Whether it's, you know, we're doing a yearly guidance reading or the weekly guidance reading, you know, it still needs to be said each and every time that we gotta continue to do things in a different way, but to not feel pressured to do it. Don't think, oh, I have to, you know, don't feel panicked to do it. Just let it come naturally, because if your attention is to do that, then it will come to you, it will happen, and it won't seem like you're always trying, even though you put effort into the whole point of like the fact that you're able to like get these things. It's like, yes, you're moving forward. Like whether you're going, even if you're just going for a walk, that still means something, because you're getting out there. And if you take it at night, you of course see the stars, or if you're just or if it's during the day, you can still notice things. And it's just, there's so many things around us that we just need to pay attention to. And even though we go through so much and we have so many problems sometimes, we can't get bitter about it. We have to see that we truly can find solutions to our problems, and we truly can see the magic in life, even when we're at our lowest point. Even when it seems like you don't feel how wonderful it is, you just need to keep going and keep noticing things and keep following it, even if it feels like you're not following anything. It feels like you're alone and you're not being guided, but you always are. I mean, whatever you believe in, you know, has made us to be, or at least we are existing as something that can really, we shouldn't have to do it on our own. But when we have to do things, when we're the only ones to make the choices that we need to do, we are able to do it. We are able to make good choices for ourselves, and we can do it on our own, but we do have multiple energies that are helping us all the time, even when it doesn't feel like it, but they do always give us credit for all the things that we do, because we are the ones that take action and do things. And of course, when there's, nothing else we can do, somehow comes a way for us to do it. And a lot of people probably would say they know exactly how that happens and why it happens, but there's a lot more explanation that's needed about it. So just about not feeling like, to understand and be able to communicate what you know and be confident in that, but to also know that there's more to it than that. And of course we need to communicate, so we need to say what we know at the moment. And then just know that we need to learn more still, but be happy with what we know as well. But to constantly be looking for more answers and to keep an open mind. So there's that one for now, and I'm feeling that I'm going to go over the Happy Family card, and it's a number 4, and I'm going to try to get it. It's right there. You can kind of see it better. Right? You can see the rainbow. And yeah, now it's focusing. Great. And on the beach. It's a different style for this card. So, right. So, okay. So, we can just talk about the main thing. Of course, this is Happy Family. And so that can be, whether it's your friends or your actual intermediate family that, whatever it is for you. In this case, could just be just the energy of it, just finding peace within who you're with and not settling for less and not feeling like you have, it's not everybody wants to have children, and that's fine, and not everyone wants to get married, and that's also fine, but you can still have people in your life that, even if it's just for a short time, that you find connection with them and then you do move on, but it's not in a hurtful way and it's not in a bad way. It just happens naturally, and then you get help from people you never thought you would get help from. And so it's just important to know that, your family can be a lot of things. It doesn't have to be, if you don't really have a good connection with the people that is your biological family, or you don't have the best of friends yet, but you can still find that in many different ways. Just being open and just going out there and talking to people when it seems appropriate. Do not feel like you need to, in order to make connections, that you need to constantly talk to somebody. But sometimes just being in someone's life, is just as important. To the things that you do go to and they see you and it seems pretty, it doesn't seem like it's that important. I mean, you see that person, you feel good about them, and you think that they seem like a really great person, and you think well of them, even though you haven't gotten to know each other in such a way that you should have that feeling. Sometimes you just feel that, that you really like somebody as a person, and most likely they do feel that way about you too. I mean, we're constantly, in our lives, to a lot of people, we are somebody that really, just brings a smile to their face, and they look forward to seeing you, and even just saying hi, something simple like that. Sometimes it's more than that, but, just sometimes just knowing that person, that whether it's us or how we think of other people, but we're always that person to somebody else, whether we know it or not, that we truly are important to each other. And it doesn't have to be, that you are constantly there for each other in a way that you're giving each other things, or anything like that. It's just sometimes the gift is just being yourself and being the kind person that you are. So it doesn't have to be what you would usually think of as a happy family, but all of us are in this together, and we do need each other, we shouldn't have to do it on our own. And sometimes it feels that way, and it's really not something that we should ever feel. But unfortunately, the way the world is, sometimes we do feel that. But we are constantly, making new connections, and even if at the time you're not, like, if you keep on going, you will continue to make connections with people in ways that you didn't see coming. And so you don't need to look for somebody. You can just know they'll happen naturally. It never happens when you're looking for them. Pretty much, it doesn't. And, you shouldn't just invite anyone into your life if they're really persistent. And it's one thing to want, have someone that's, that is wanting to be in your life and they make it clear. But just be aware of the people that are coming in your life. But for the most part, if you're just letting things happen naturally, things will work out. And just, trust how you feel, the feelings that we sometimes push aside. Just trust how you feel and know that there's plenty of wonderful people that you maybe, you just need to pay attention to those things, to, just like we were talking about with clairvoyance, or the signs around different things. And even though it's clairvoyance, it's like you're still honoring your feelings about things, honoring about how you interpret things, how your body feels. Like if you're having, like if you feel something in your stomach and you're just like, oh, I just not getting a good feeling, then just pay attention to that. So in this case, it's that there's definitely good connections coming in, and so of course good people, and just whether it's short or long, there are many different ways to experience it for all of us. And so I'm going to go to attachment next, and it's the number 5. And so I think of an example of like people that you just need to let go of. There's definitely been people in my life that I've had to let go of, and we just have to understand that just we're going to meet new people, like with the happy family card. And if something's not working out in a way that it's just not being healthy for you in a mental and physical way, but mostly it would be like an emotional and mental way, something that you're constantly getting upset about, and it's not, if you see that it's not going to work out in the future, but you keep holding on to things, then it's important to just let it happen. Like sometimes it doesn't happen naturally. Sometimes, because the other person might want to also be in your life, or there's certain situations that you feel like you need to stay in someone's life because of different situations, and that there are different needs that we have to have met. And but you just need to know that even though you can't really tell what the future will be like, you still have to trust. And then once again, the clairvoyance card was first. I was feeling that I need to read it first. And it's just trusting your feelings, the signs that you see, and of course having discernment, because sometimes when you see something, you think that it means something else, and it doesn't mean that. And I know that can be really frustrating, because you think, but I don't know what I need to do, because it seems like I need to do this, but then I don't know if I want to do that, because maybe I need to do something else. It's one of those things that, sometimes you need to give it some more time and be patient, and other times you do need to start making choices and decisions, and you do need to actually think about it and what you need to do. But unfortunately, like, since we're going over like a general situation, you can't really say this is what you need to do. It's like you always need to make your own choices. And I guess with my situation, I guess I can put that in, that with one of my best friends that I've known since middle school, I had to cut off connection with her because it was just so draining on me that I could not, I can hang out with her and then I just feel so horrible afterwards. And she's not a bad person. She's actually a very wonderful person, she's really good with kids, and she's a teacher, and, she really is something else. She is really a positive person in a lot of different ways. I can say a lot of good things about her, but I just had to cut it off at the moment. And maybe, in my case, I just feel like in the future, someday, there'll be a better point that we can be friends again, but I don't know how that will happen and if it's actually good. I have no idea if it is, but I just have that feeling inside. And, unfortunately I can't have her in my life right now because it besides how I felt, I just felt like I needed to let her do what she needed to do, that she wasn't making the decisions she needed to do, that I knew she can do, that she would, I somehow see that she would do it on her own, and she didn't need me, and I didn't want, like, there were things that she was thinking about anyways, but she just would not go through and do it. But I didn't want to act like, just try to push her because, I care about her and I know that she knows what's best for her. But I just could not stay, I couldn't be in her life right now. I just felt that was what was needed. I needed to let her go, and I did. But I did in the best way possible, but of course she didn't take it very well, even though I didn't say anything bad, and I really showed that I did care, but she just didn't take it very well, and it hurt a lot, but I had to do it, and I can't say this is exactly why I needed to do it because this is and this, but I just, even though I had, different reasons, but there's just not enough, but I still felt like I needed to do that, not because, like I wanted to be there for her, and I would have, but if I think it did her good, I don't have any proof of it, but I think it did her good to not have me in her life at this time. I just had to do what I felt was right, and I could be wrong, but I can't feel bad about what I did. I have to say, hey, I made my decision. I did it because I truly felt it was right. I never wanted to hurt anybody, and it may feel like I did because she was like not happy about it at all, but I needed to say how I felt, and I needed to be strong in doing that. So I'm just putting that out there, like nobody has to do that in their situation if they don't feel that it's right. If there is another solution, then okay, but it's really up to you all who are listening to this, like what is that you feel is right for you. And that's just my example, but whatever attachment means for you, whatever you feel is a solution, you just have to decide for yourself. And we have number 53, the Magician in the Mirror. And so, of course, we're just trying to make things happen in our life. And, of course, we have to take action to do that. But we have to, once again, look at what, we can do, and yet don't limit ourselves to that. Don't say, this is exactly what I want and I don't want anything else. Or, even if you say, I want something better, but don't even worry about what that better might be, because you just need to take action. Like if you're trying to learn something and you're not sure, you have like, oh, I must probably do this with it. And I'm like, well, you can look at it that way, but you can also think of it as just, let's learn this, let's enjoy. If we enjoy learning this, then, that's what's important. And we don't need to know exactly what we're going to do. But opportunities will come up in your life. Like if you're learning something, and you express that you're learning that to people that care about you or people that and it's not even something that you're trying to make something happen. You just express what you're doing in an honest way, and just opportunities do come for you to use what you have learned, and it won't be the same thing for everybody. My example would be that I'm learning sign language, and I had 2 opportunities so far pretty close together to show what I've learned, to interpret a song, the song Silent Night, and I've done that. The first time around I've only learned the first verse, and then the second time around I've learned the whole song. And I never asked anybody to it just happened. I had no idea that I was going to be doing this, and I stepped up to the plate and I learned the song, and I learned it well. I practiced very hard, and I'm very happy for myself, and I'm very grateful to be able to have learned all of that, and all the other stuff that I've learned besides that song. Anything that we do, that we put effort in, it deserves recognition, but we don't always get it. But definitely before, I never got recognition for anything, and really it wasn't made a big deal out of. It wasn't, except when I did the second time around, I was around friends and family, so it's not like doing it on a big stage or anything like that. It's still a big group of people. Like the first time around, I was around people that don't know too well, but I'm constantly around them, and it's a community. So it's still small in comparison to like thinking of it as something else. But I see the value in it. I see that it was a great opportunity to use what I've learned, and it's not something that, I have to constantly do that now. I have to constantly be able to show what I've learned, and I can interpret professionally someday, but maybe that's not exactly what I want to do. Maybe I want to have that skill for something else, that I can't really explain right now, to say, I don't know exactly what I'm going to use this for, but I want it to be something creative. I want it to be to help people, and I can't say, I want to be an interpreter, because I wouldn't say, but I don't, that's not exactly, I don't want to be a full-time interpreter, or constantly just do that for the rest of my life, but I want something more of it. So the things that we learn, the things that we do, we can create our own future with it, and we just need to not look at things, it has to be this way, it has to be that way, because this is how, because at least in most places around the world, that we're just so goal oriented. I could be wrong, but it just seems that way, that certain things are expected of us at a certain age, and if we don't accomplish it, then we are failures, or we're just slacking off or something like that, even though most of the time that wouldn't be true. So just keep an open mind about your future, and to know that there's no pressure. No matter what age you are more than capable of making a lot of things happen, and it doesn't have to be a certain age, because we're constantly learning, and we're constantly getting better at things, and sometimes we need more time to do things because we're dealing with more things than other people. So it's important to know that everything that we go through, we don't disregard how much effort it took, because I can tell you, that learning those songs, I've learned other songs, but learning different words and putting them together is not easy to do it confidently. And so in your situation, just know that what you do well, and what you're trying to do, it's important, and you put effort into it. So just give yourself the credit that you need. So and don't feel like you have to only do it a certain way. Be creative and just let things flow. And so we have the 9 of Chalices, and that just kind of means to me it's not, we're constantly, our emotions ebb and flow, and
alright, so my camera just
turned off for some reason, but we're on the Nine of Cups, and just our emotions ebb and flow, and it's not really a spectrum. It's kind of just like we're constantly feeling all these things all together, like whether it's happiness, sadness, anger. Sometimes it's just more of a happiness and more than anything else, but it can also be more sadness than anything else. But so much emotions just within us, and sometimes it's hard to describe how we're feeling. I mean, in other languages, there are words for different kinds of sadnesses and other things like that, and it's very specific about it. And so just understanding our emotions, and not just seeing as just one or the other, and seeing our complexity. And the Nine of Cups would be more like, not like a permanent happiness, because it's, we're constantly going to have our ups and downs, and instead of trying to fight that, to accept that we have our times that we're not going to feel like really up and just celebrating life all the time. I mean, we can, but it's going to feel different than when you are like at points of really high happiness, and at other times there'll be more like a peaceful happiness or just overall. And it's not about trying to chase that high of happiness. It's about understanding and appreciating your emotions overall, instead of thinking that it's always going to be like you always have to be happy. It's like, no, you don't always have to be happy, but you can be well in your life. You can be well mentally and physically. And even when you're not well physically or mentally all the time, that you can still find happiness. No matter what happens in our life, we can find happiness in what we're doing, and we can find peace. But to understand that our complexities as human beings and our emotions, that we don't just push them to the side and say, no, but I just want to be happy all the time. And it's like, no, but you can have different kinds of happiness as you're dealing with all the other emotions that you're dealing with. And it doesn't mean that it's just that you're going to have to see the subtleties of all that you're feeling, and to truly find ways to love that, to accept that life isn't going to be the way you think it is, but it can be really good. And it can be something that you can't even express sometimes, and that's okay. Sometimes, no matter how you try to express it, you can't, get through that. Yes, I am happy about a lot of things, but these things are happening right now, and I'm sad about these things. To also celebrate, and to be able to try to express, at least to yourself, that you're still wanting to keep going in life and to find different solutions to what you need, but that you're still frustrated about something, and to understand that that you can feel those emotions. You can feel like you're upset about a lot of things, but still be grateful for all that you have, and to express them. But if you need to express your sadness by crying, or the usual things like writing and stuff like that, but maybe it's just not even doing that. Like, maybe you cry a little bit, but you just look at your feelings and understand them, instead of trying to hide away from them, or to say, I don't feel that way, I don't like, or to disregard your feelings is not healthy. And sometimes you need to talk to somebody, like a therapist, and that's okay too, because I personally talk to a therapist, and there's nothing wrong with it. We all need to talk to somebody, but we don't always get what we need. It's something that's very much needed in our lives. And even if you do, sometimes it's fun to just imagine that you're talking to somebody, and that can be helpful too. Or you're talking to yourself and imagining that you're getting the help that you need, and you speak what you feel, and that can be very helpful. But sometimes it's good to have someone to see the progress that you've made so far as you are talking to them and showing yourself that you can make things happen in your life. Sometimes, having someone to see that progress you've made, if they're a good therapist, they'll mention that, and they'll let you know that you're doing well when you are, and they won't lie to you or try to keep you longer than you should, because eventually, if sometimes you just need to move on. Sometimes you need to go to another therapist to, just because you want someone to talk to about the things that maybe you can't talk to your family or friends about, just to have another person to roll off things on, and just maybe bounce ideas off, because everybody's different, and that's the thing about it. You don't have to be dealing with mental illness to have a therapist. Everybody has their own issues, and there's nobody really that can't be diagnosed if you really think about it, because everyone has their problems and their tendencies to do things. So it's about seeing your full self instead of trying to fool yourself into thinking you always have to be happy, in the sense that society says that this happiness is only right happiness, and anything less than that, is not helpful. Or if you're constantly, if you're not well, if you have a whole, if you're not able to be well, sometimes you're not able to get up in the morning, and if you can't do that, if you can't do the normal things, then you must be wrong. You must be a horrible person. You must be a failure. But that's not true. Sometimes we have difficulties like that, even when we're trying to do our best, and there's times when we can't really stay positive as well. And so it's important to know that, whatever situation we're going through, and if we can't even muster up much joy, any kind of happiness, it doesn't feel like we can feel happy. It just feels like overwhelming amount of sadness, that you're feeling something even more. Depression is used a lot because we have more awareness of it. Sometimes it's just not enough to say, oh, I felt depressed, because nobody paid attention to that word. But it's just important to know that you just keep going, and you will find happiness. It's not going to stay like that forever. You will find that your situation improves. And it may not be what other people think it should be, or what you thought it would be, but it will be a whole lot better, and there's so much to experience in this life, and we just can't just let it, you can't just let it go, and we have to keep going and fight hard to make sure that our goals are not if we don't have a certain thing, that we're disappointed to the point that we can't even move on very well, or we get so disappointed that we cannot be happy with what else could happen, or what did happen end up being exactly what you needed, instead of thinking, well, I didn't get what I want, so it must not be good. But instead of looking at what you did get and saying, well, this is good because of all these reasons. And so it's just important to be aware of your situation as well. And we have the Ten of Wands, kind of just going with our situation, that we all have our burdens, but that it doesn't have to seem like that. Our situation with the Nine of Cups, just finding that we can have our emotions helping us to find richness in our life, and that we can find solutions to our problems in a creative way, instead of thinking that we constantly have to look at everything that's going on and think it's the worst thing ever. All these can be blessings instead of a burden, and the things that are going on in our lives, that we can find reasons to be happy about different things, not because there's not horrible things that can happen in our life, but to understand that there's always going to be good things, and I understand those times when you can't even feel anything good about life. But you also know those times when you can, but you refuse to. There's times that we do that. And so it's important to know the difference between those times and to instead find reasons to be happy about what is there. And like, it's not happiness that you're like, oh, jumping for joy or something like that all the time. But, even like singing or just like creating things, imagining things that can happen in your life, as long as you stay in reality and actually take action towards doing things, even if it's not those specific things. I mean, there will be opportunities to do, the things that you dream about, and to keep those dreams alive. And by taking real action, even if they're not the things that you're trying to accomplish, that you take action to learn things, to do things that you enjoy. And if there's some things that you have to do that you don't enjoy, that to find reasons to enjoy doing it, even if it's very difficult. It takes effort. It takes effort to be someone who finds reasons to see things in a positive way. And it just takes time, and sometimes it takes acceptance of your situation, but to not accept that you don't have solutions to getting to a better way of life, but to accept the things that you do have to. For me, it's accepting that I have to take medication every day to be well, and to also, to also know that, sometimes I'm going to feel really horribly down, but that it won't be forever, and that, that there are things to celebrate within it. I've, seen many things to celebrate, whether it's just the normal things like eating good food or, going for a walk. Those things, seeing the beauty around me and knowing that, so much is going on around me and that I'm a part of it. Being able to learn more, going to school more, because right now I'm really interested in what I'm learning about and what I'll continue learning about in that way, but I'm also learning in other ways as well, just by participating in life. And it doesn't mean that, I haven't felt horribly down to the point that I couldn't even experience that, but even though I couldn't even, experience what I'm experiencing now, I kept going, and I kept doing the things I could do, even when I couldn't get out of bed by noon. There's times I couldn't do that, but I kept going and said that, even if I couldn't say in those words that it wouldn't last forever, I just felt within myself, deep within myself, that if I kept going, that things would get better. And they do, and they have. And they will for us all. And so all of these, they're not your burden. They will help you to get to where you need to go in your own way. So please just understand that you're constantly making a difference in your world around you, within your own life, and to other people as well. And so we have also the 10 of Pentacles, and this represents the things that we do in our life, just, the recognition that we can get for all the things that we do. If we continue to go on this path of, as I've been going on, I didn't mean for it to be like going like, if you do this, that, this would be like the outcome, having all the accomplishments. But that's how it came out to be. That if we keep going on a path of trying our best to be who we are, and to find different solutions to our problems, to be creative, to look for signs, whether it be numbers or just what people say. Sometimes you hear something and it has meaning for you. Like, just to see the magic of life and to keep on going, and to know that we will continue to get more insight on what we need to do, but, to be patient for it and to not just rush into things, but to take action when you need to, when it comes naturally. And sometimes you do need to, really advocate for yourself and say, this is what I need, and this is what I want, and, having to speak up for yourself, and that's important too, to speak up for yourself, instead of thinking like you can just be passive all the time. Sometimes you do need to be passive, but other times you need action, and to have this discernment and learning to do that, whether it's this year or the next, and knowing that it's a constant process. You're never going to just be like the biggest expert ever. I mean, you're still going to be learning no matter what. You can teach others, but just do it for yourself first of all. Don't do it to show off because you want recognition, and that's great, but it'll happen when it needs to happen. And if there's opportunities out there, it will come to you, and there's other things you can go and find places to give knowledge, to show you what you've learned. There's opportunities, there's proper space of time and place to do this, but to understand that that it will happen when it needs to happen, and you'll just know it. To not push it when it doesn't need to be pushed, because sometimes it's not no, it's just not yet. Sometimes that's the answer. But to know that all this can be created and will be created as long as you keep on taking action, and to not get bitter about life, and to instead just keep going and understand that being a good and kind person is just as important as being talented and anything else, that good to be said about you. Being somebody that thinks of others and is truly empathetic to others, and is not selfish in the sense that, they don't, think of others like that, who, even though you're going through a whole bunch of tough times, doesn't mean that you don't need to help people that actually care about you. And even people that sometimes you just feel a connection to right away, sometimes you can be the person to help them. Even if you feel like you haven't gotten help before, you just need to do that for other people if you feel that is right, that you feel that you want to do it. But if it doesn't come naturally then to you, and you never do that, then it's probably something that you need to try to work on in order to better yourself and to help the world in that way. Sometimes it can be very difficult to not say something as well when other people are saying, really bad things that you don't agree with. But sometimes being passive in that situation, instead of getting angry at them for not having the same opinion as you, as long as they're, for the most part, as long as they're not hurting anybody, sometimes you just need to let people say what they need to say, because saying something is not going to help the situation. And in this example, just to, sometimes you need to not say something, and other times when you need something that has not been given to you, or you just need to get something out that, saying, for example, when I was trying to figure out which medication I needed and what dose I needed, without having horrible side effects, I needed to say something then. If I didn't say anything, nobody was going to say it for me. So I needed to speak up and be assertive and tell them that, I didn't need what they wanted to give me. I need this because I know better than them, because it's my body and I know what helps me and what won't. So in that case, you need to speak up, and that will get you to the things of creating all the real things in your life that you can get recognition for, if that's your goal, but I mean, it shouldn't just be everything. It just should be the fact that you can create things, and it should be for yourself first of all. And it's very difficult though sometimes, because sometimes you just really want to show that you can do it and that you can really make great things in your life happen. But they will happen, and there's proof within the actions you take. So I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit, but I'm very happy that I got this message through for you guys. I really, as always, hope that it helps you, and I really liked how it came through. I'm always like surprised a little bit by how it comes through, and I'm just happy about it. So I hope you're happy about it too. So thank you once again, and I hope you have a great year. Feel free if you, for not just my videos, but for other people's videos, that if you want to keep checking in and see what it means for you when you go across the different months that we go through, just to see what else, how else this comes through for you. It's just important to follow what you feel is right, and just something that I actually do with other videos as well, and just watch them and see, even if they're not for the date that it says, like sometimes it's for the weeklies or the monthlies, and sometimes I watch them or rewatch them and they mean something different afterwards when I watch them again. So anyways, so I'll see you guys again soon, and thank you. Bye.